Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this Friday's Get Inspired session. And we're really thrilled to welcome Anna Rasmussen to us today. Anna, it's been a pleasure to know you over the years. Our paths have crossed many times, so it's really great to be able to have a chance to talk to you properly as part of our Women in Recruitment series. Anna is the CEO and founder of OpenBlend, which is a people-focused performance management tool. And I think, Anna, you designed this based on your experience as a coach and performance managing and developing people over your career. And you've developed it to really, I think, build on your understanding that everybody is different. Yep. Everyone has different drivers, different motivators, and using that to get the best out of people in the workplace. And you've got clients now like Saatchi M&C Saatchi, GymShark and Dr. Martin. So yep. Some really big and interesting organisations, and outside of the recruitment industry too, which is quite nice for us to be talking to someone who comes in with an external perspective that's not just based around recruitment. So we're going to hear today about how Anna has used the understanding of this point of difference around how to get herself where she's got to today as the CEO of a growing organisation. So Anna, would you like to just introduce yourself and give us a little bit more understanding as to how you've got where you've got today and what your journey has looked like?
Absolutely, it's been my absolute pleasure. Well, firstly, thank you very much for inviting me on, and it's a pleasure to be here and to kind of share my story and my learnings and anything that anyone can do and to kind of share that other people can learn from, I think has a huge amount of value. So hopefully everybody who's joining us today can pick out some bits that's valuable to them. So yeah, my background is, well, actually recruitment. I used to work for PSD many moons ago, and then moved out of recruitment into the drinks industry. It's a dangerous place, so I needed to get back out of that again. So then I joined the Hydrogen Group actually went in as their head of learning and development. And whilst I was at the Hydrogen Group, I was responsible for so the academy, so bringing new people or new starters into the business, but also all the leadership development stuff as well. And when I was there, I was assigned a coach, and I was sitting in these coaching sessions thinking, gosh, this is a really powerful intervention, actually being able to sit here, raise this level of self-awareness and understand what I want to do. But also, actually, I would really like to be a coach. I'd like to get, this skill set. Having working in L&D, it was like a logical thing anyway. So I kind of spent 2 years working out how I was going to become a coach and set up my own coaching practice. So I did my NLP practitioner qualification, and then I did my coaching qualification. And then I said to Hydrogen, my employer then, can I go part-time, because I would really like to, set up my coaching practice. And they were fantastic and said, well, actually, there might be a conflict of interest if we're part-time. Why don't you go and we'll retain you to continue to do our leadership development? So that was a gift, actually, that I was then able to set up my own business, but no, I had that kind of retained income coming in every month, which was great. So I set up my coaching practice, and very happily working on my own. I spent 50% of my time coaching one-on-one, so individuals, and 50% of my time going into organizations and training groups of people managers how to use coaching to get the best out of their people. And I would say at that point, probably 80% of my clients were in recruitment. And I think, recruitment is a fascinating industry. You need the people, you are almost as good as the mood and how engaged and how motivated you are. Like the consultants are, they need to be really pumped and really motivated and driven and high levels of resilience. And actually those managers really needed to understand how to coach those individuals to get the best out of them. So it was a really great space that I was in. And then I got married and I had my first child. So she's 11 now. So 11 years ago, for the first time in my career, I really started to consider this notion of work-life balance. And very, very quickly became aware that it was an incredibly outdated mindset, and actually I found it very demotivating. I didn't feel I was empowered. I've always been a real kind of high achiever and wanted to always push to get the best out of myself. And I was looking at my daughter, May, in her little travel car seat and thinking, hang on a minute, how can I can't possibly not be able to do everything I want to do because I've got a baby. There's got to be a better way of looking at it. So I was very fortunate because obviously at that point I was a pretty experienced coach. So I self-administered some coaching techniques and I drew a wheel. And I broke that wheel into 8 pieces. Now, this is a coaching tool. Lots of people listening will probably be aware of this. It's called the Wheel of Anything, literally that simple. It's called the Wheel of Anything. So it's a wheel broken into 8 pieces. And I populated each of those 8 segments with the things in my work and life that I needed to focus on in order for me to perform to the best of my ability. So I populated them all with all the aspects of my work and life. I then scored each one on a scale of 0 to 10. And then to where I am now, and then scored it where it needed to be in order for me to be able to have it all. And then I wrote actions down about what I was going to do to close the gap. And I called the tool Work-Life Blend. And as I was going through it, I was thinking, God, this is amazing. I feel so empowered. I know exactly what I need to do in all these different aspects of my life in order for me to be the best version of myself. So it was great. I started using it. So I started going back to work, started using it with my clients. I then spent probably 18 months specializing in maternity coaching. So working with women before, during and on the transition back in after maternity leave. And I use the blend tool with all of them. And I also have male clients and, not in the maternity setting. And everybody that I use the work-life blend tool with had the same reaction. They're like, oh my God, a work-life blend. This is so much more empowering. I love this. This is great. And I really knew that I was onto something with this kind of mindset of work-life blend. But what I was struck most by was that the conversation it was enabling me to have with these individuals should be the conversation that is taking place between them and their manager in the workplace, because it's everything that can be influenced there. But I knew with my other hat on that managers really needed support in this area, and that they didn't. A lot of managers are promoted maybe a little bit too soon, or they haven't got the skill set that's needed to get the best out of people, and they do need support. So I thought, well, how can I get this tool into the hands of those managers and support them to use this effectively? And that's where I came up with the idea of software. So I thought, hang on a minute, how about if I build this in a piece of software, and then that's what they can use. So I went out and found a bedroom developer and a bedroom designer, and I met them in a pub in Ascot, and I turned up there. I didn't know what they were called at the time, but I now know they're called wireframes. So with these big pieces of paper with all these this kind of journey of how I wanted it to be, and I sat down with them and said, right, can we build this? So they built me a prototype of this tool, but I wanted to give it a little bit more rigor. I wanted to understand actually that all of my suspicions about the strength of this tool were accurate. So at that time, so I've known, so some people on this call will know Mel Forbes. So I had known her, from when I was about 20, I think. And then we've kind of gone our own ways. And then I saw her around quite a lot talking about women and supporting women and women in the workplace. And I thought, do you know what I think would be really interesting is if, well, I want to sit down and talk to Mel about what I'm trying to achieve here. So I met Mel in Reading. We had a bowl of pasta and I spoke to her about it. And she at the time was the CEO of Guidant. And she said, look, this is right, like spot on with what we're trying to sort of do in the business. So how about you conduct the research that you want to do and we will sponsor you to do it. So, which was just amazing. So I went out and we launched a piece of research called Keeping Women In. And it was a direct play on words from Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In. And I thought, so we called it Keeping Women In, because I was just, it's all very well saying lean in, but actually, what does the business need to do to keep those women in? So I went out. It took me about 18 months to conduct this research. I had a couple of people helping me, and we went out and we interviewed 250 high achieving working mothers. So we decided that was the segment we're going to go after. So high achieving working mothers, and we interviewed 250. And at the heart of this interview was the work-life blend tool. And my suspicions were right. Everybody that in that interview was like, oh my God, this tool is great. It's really making me think about everything that I need to focus on. So, but one of the people I interviewed in that research is Karen Blackett, who at the time was the CEO of MediaCom. She's now the country manager for WPP. And she said to me in the interview, what are you, I told her about the software. She said, well, what are you going to do with the software? And I said, well, I want to take it out into businesses. And she says, right, when it's done, MediaCom will beta that for you. We love the sound of it so much that we'll bring it in and we'll use it in the agency as a beta, which was amazing. So we then got the beta ready, and then took it into MediaCom. That was the summer of 2015. And then we got our first paying client at the end of 2015. And then, but the tool we went to market with was a coaching tool. So it just had well-being and blend in it. And it was exactly as we said, it was underpinned with coaching frameworks. Was supported managers to have good conversations about the key drivers in an individual's blend and their well-being. So then we went out, we got some great clients really early on. And then there's just a couple of us in my loft at this point. And I would go out and say, people would ask me questions. So is there automated emails? And I'd say, yeah, there's automated emails. And then I'd come back to my loft and see Gemma and I'd say, I've told them we've got automated emails, and she'd be like, bloody hell, Anna. So then she would like sit there sending all these emails out until we got to a state where we could actually work out how to do that. And so we then sort of muddled our way through those early stages, always had good clients. There's always a really strong appetite for blend. And then in 2017, our clients kind of said to us, look, and like blend is great and well-being is great. We're having this brilliant conversation using OpenBlend, but we're having to then close that down and have a conversation about performance somewhere else. So is there any way that you could put performance in OpenBlend? And we said, we can put performance in there. We made it very simple. We kept to the principles of OpenBlend, which is about, underpinning with coaching frameworks, having supportive coaching prompt questions in there to enable a good conversation. And then in 2017, we did that. We launched that out. And then overnight, and actually very naively, entered into the performance management space. And that wasn't where we were, and it wasn't necessarily intentional. So we then became a performance management tool. But our point of difference has always been that we're people-centered, and that we, at the heart of this performance management tool, is this work-life blend and well-being. So the things that underpin any high performance are addressed in the tool as well. And that's where we've grown from. So from 2017 until now, we've invested heavily in the tool to contain everything that an organization would need to focus on in order to have effective, regular one-to-ones that are people-centered. So they put the person at the heart of the conversation to drive high performance. And that's kind of the sort of the key pillars, I guess, of where we've got to today. And today we're working with the likes of, as you said, Doc Martens, GymShark, M&C Saatchi, Prince's Trust. Still working with MediaCom all of those years on. So, we've got some fantastic clients, and we're adding a huge amount of value into those organizations, and making a massive difference to people's working lives by enabling the right kind of conversations to take place that underpin their performance. And I feel proud as punch that, if you go back to where all of this came from, with my daughter kind of sat in this car seat next to me, that inspired this idea, and it's a total organic growth story, as opposed to and actually one that's come from being a woman as well.
Yeah. And having a passion, I'm guessing, as well. You really felt strongly about what you were doing because it had been so personal to you at the start.
Yeah.
You could really put your energy into something, I guess, you believed in and had real purpose as well for you. I'm guessing.
Absolutely. And I think coaching as an intervention, I still to this day hugely passionate about the benefits that you get from actually just sitting down and having a conversation where someone's listening to you and asking good questions and being genuinely curious about what your answer is going to be, and having that time to think. And coaching, I think, is an intervention that, it's not even an intervention, it's just a way of having a conversation. But I think it tends to be for people at the top stages of their career, or for people that are paying for it themselves, when actually, there's a big part of me that gets a buzz off the fact that we have democratized coaching to a certain extent and put it firmly in the hands of the managers, where, let's be honest, they're the ones that they're so powerful in an individual's career. They're the most vital component of an individual performing at their best, is that manager. And if we're upskilling them and giving them power to do it, then that's got to be the foundations.
Yeah. Well, I know when you first showed me the tool, which is quite some time ago now, it felt very innovative and advanced when you brought this out, because especially in our industry, recruitment, performance management is all about numbers. It wasn't really about me and what drives me and how I get the best out of me. So I'm really thrilled that you've been able to grow the business, and I think you've done a fantastic job getting it where it's got to, and it's been much needed, actually. But listening to you talking, and perhaps before we come on to what your takeaways have been through your journey, there were a couple of things that jumped out at me as fairly interesting points that perhaps the audience might also find helpful to think back on. You talked about Mel Forbes and Karen Blackett, and these people were effectively sponsors for you, weren't they, over that time? And we talk about the importance of coaching, but actually for us, particularly as women, having sponsors out there that we can call upon or go to, or we know will give us that backing, is also really important, isn't it? And that clearly made a difference for you.
I feel a bit emotional when I think about Mel and Karen still, who is still championing, they're still massive champions. And you can't underestimate the power of having someone who's in a good position to help you achieve what you want to achieve. I was actually June Sperong, she does a podcast, and she's got one, letters to my friend or something like that. And I was on a run the other day and I was listening to it, and it made me think, and I'm going to do this for certain people in my life. And there was it was all about, it was for women, and they said so, and it was letters written by women to another woman who has been one of the most inspiring people in their life, and where they've made such a big impact on their life. And it was so lovely to listen to someone showing, like, through a letter, through words, showing how much it meant that someone has got your back and someone's your champion, and doing all of that. So I've definitely got a few letters to write. And
I think it's useful for others, isn't it, to realise that if they don't have sponsors or don't know if they've got sponsors, it's okay to go out and try and find those people and actively, build your network to know that you have got people out there that have got your back. And there was the other thing, Anna, that I thought was, just before we go on to sort of your key takeaways. And by the way, for the audience, if you've got any questions you'd like to put in the chat box, please do.
Please do.
Anna. The other thing that I thought stood out for me, which was your sort of light bulb moment with your daughter, and then you're sitting back and using the circle of everything, was we just don't often give our time to ourselves to reflect, do we, and think and ask ourselves these questions. And what you've done through the tool is allow managers to give their staff time to sit and reflect because they're facilitating that conversation with them. But actually, just by highlighting it, and again, for those in the audience that are wanting to take something away today, that time just to sit and think about what really matters to you. We don't give ourselves the luxury of that often, do we? And having a tool can help us focus and do that well.
Yeah, I think firstly, I don't think we give ourselves a time because everyone's operating at 100 miles an hour the whole time. But also, if we did give ourselves the time, how do we structure our thoughts in a way that is right? So actually, we've got, for the listeners, we've got a poll for you guys coming up shortly, so I'll take you through some bits and pieces, then we'll do a poll which hopefully will raise a little bit of awareness in your mind about what's important to you. But I think what we do for our users is they have to complete their profile before they then start having these one-to-one conversations. And in there, it takes kind of 20 minutes, and they sit there and we guide them through creating the software guides them through creating their blend. And we get nothing but amazing feedback from the individuals that have done it, because everyone loves just sitting there and thinking, right, what are the 8 things that are most important to me? So what we do in the profile part of it is we give individuals a menu of 28 drivers, and in those they have to choose 8 that are most important to them, and they are drivers from work and home combined. So they choose the 8 that are most important to them. They then have to redefine what those 8 mean, which is, some people get, because we have like a little taste, like an example of what the definition could be, but they when they start typing, that disappears, and we get people say, why can't you just leave it there? It was a really good definition. But actually, a big part of this is that you have to sit there and say, right, well, actually, recognition is something that's really important to me. What does that mean to me? Because as you said at the beginning, there's no 2 people are the same. So what does it mean to you? So we take them through this exercise, and then they have to score it and score it again. So by the time they get to the end of their profile, they're like, oh my God, I know what the 8 things are that drives me. So when they sit down with their manager, they already have that increased level of self-awareness. And that's what we all need. Everybody on this call today, we all are probably, some of us will be managers, and some of us will be employees. But if we're a manager, we're also an employee. So, being able to talk to your manager about the things that are most important to you, starting that conversation from a place of self-awareness, is brilliant. And obviously that's changed hugely over so I'm gonna shall I share my screen?
Yep, please do. And as I said, questions, please, as Anna's talking.
So if I share, hang on. So what I wanted to do is show just a little bit about what we mean by people-centered approach, and it will make sense why I'm showing you this in a second. So what we mean by people-centric is that the employee is front and center. So if your employee is jumping out of bed in the morning, is motivated and energized and engaged, and their head's in the right place, then you give them their performance deliverables, and then you support them with decent coaching-led one-to-ones, then that's a winning formula. Sadly, a lot of people don't really care about the front bit and don't really do much about the last bit. They just give people performance deliverables and then wonder why they're not performing. So this is kind of sandwiching that in a kind of much more sustainable format. So sorry, I wanted to show something on here and the importance of kind of understanding that. And I'm sure everybody saw this. This was about 2 months ago. This is everywhere on LinkedIn. It was really interesting where they were, and I thought this is particularly pertinent for recruitment. I've worked in recruitment, for a long time, and I know it's, everyone thinks that people work in recruitment because of money. It's all about money. You can of course make amazing money, but we're taught to think that actually that's the successful thing. This came out on LinkedIn a couple of months ago. Because everyone started to think slightly differently. So Natasha, you said then, when you saw the tool, it was definitely very innovative. We were so innovative before. We were like putting the whole person at the center of performance conversations. But actually what's happened over the last 18 months through the kind of pandemic is that everybody started to think, well, hang on a minute, you know, this is the way. We can't, you know, there's so much more that's important to us than just salary and job title. So they came out with this model, you know, or this image where they said a better measure actually is free time, liking what you do, physical health, mental health. Great. But actually what OpenBlend does is take that a step further. And Blend is a true measure of success, getting that right. So this is what the Blend tool looks like. And this is just showing 8 drivers around there that this individual has chosen, and then scored it again. But we're much more complex than just being successful because of salary, or just being successful because of our salary, thinking about mental health and liking what we do. What underpins that? And Blend is a fantastic way to see that. So we've been collecting this data. So these are obviously some of the clients we've mentioned, some of the clients that we're working with here, but we've been collecting data across all of these clients ever since we started working with them. And, you know, we look at aggregate data from everybody all the time. And I just wanted to share how this has changed over the last 12 months. So time with this is the one that just kind of threw me off my chair, is because actually coaching is about understanding people. And what we're doing on an aggregate level here is getting all of those companies' data together and looking at the workforces of those organizations and what's important to them. And time with family and friends overtook money in popularity in 2020, which I just think is amazing. Money's always been number one. So that's the first time money was knocked off, and actually time with family and friends. I think actually money now is at number 4. I think there's a number of other things above that, which is fascinating. 42% of our users now are saying we've put clear career goals and direction as one of their drivers. We've got another metric in the tool now, and the number 1 talking point in OpenBlend across all of our clients is clear career goals and direction, and that's chosen by employees. And I think that's because what's happened over the last 18 months is that careers maybe have been put on ice slightly while everything's kind of been going on, and now everyone's starting to come back to work. It's like, right, what about my career? And they want to talk about it. Flexible working culture is something actually that went off the radar last year, hardly surprising because we were working at home, but now everyone's coming back into the office and they're starting to say, can you come back in? That's gone right back in as a top driver. And making a difference at work is massively increased across over the last 12 months. And that's because of purpose. You know, we need this sense of purpose now. What are we doing this for? What difference am I making in that organization? So really valuable insight into what's changed over the last 12 months. And what we thought would be quite cool on this webinar is to do a quick poll on the people that are on here. So what we've done, so Josie's going to put the poll up. We've got everything crossed, it's going to work.
Oh, yeah, fingers crossed, everybody. Would you, when I press it, can somebody just pop in chat whether you can see it or not, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can all see it.
Yeah.
Great. I can't vote. Oh no. So what we've got here is our top 10 elements. So the top 10 drivers across our user base at the moment. And what we thought would be a really interesting poll is for all of you to pick your top 3. So we've got health and exercise, time with family and friends, making a difference at work, money, clear career goals, fulfillment at work, progression at work, and flexible working culture. So each of these will mean different things to people, but what are the top 3 drivers in your work-life blend? So if you can just click on those. Are the responses coming in?
I'm pleased to say they are, Anna. Relief.
Technology's worked.
It worked, hurrah. Yeah, we're nearly there, so just a couple more and then we're sorted. Great, thanks everybody. I'm going to share the poll results now, Anna.
Okay, brilliant.
Can you see them, viewers?
Yeah.
Right.
So what have we got? So health and exercise is number 1. Time with family and friends is number 2. And fulfillment at work is number 3. And look at money down there. Interesting. So health and exercise, that's so again, I think looking at that and how the world has changed over the last 18 months, I think we all recognize the importance of health and exercise now, don't we? With mental health and the importance of getting out. Lots of us are stuck at home and, you know, doing some exercise. So that's great. Time with family and friends. That was never, before the pandemic happened, that was never up there in the top 10. Maybe if we went into an organization where the workforce were really young, you know, like we had a sort of really young workforce where actually everything was about sort of, you know, going out after work and things like that. But actually now that being up there as number 2 is not surprising to me. Fulfillment at work, that's an interesting one for me. That again, normally you've got clear career goals and progression at work there, but fulfillment at work is a bit of a deeper set, isn't it? Fulfillment. How do I actually get fulfilled out of the work that I do? Which is really interesting. What would you choose, Natasha, if you had your choice?
I did have a go, but as you said, we weren't able to. But I would definitely have picked health and exercise as my top one, because it's always been important to me, actually, and it's been the one thing that I think has helped me in my career, is taking that time out and maintaining mental health through exercise and fresh air. So definitely that one. I guess at my point in my career now as well, time and family, absolutely, and fulfillment. So I agree with the audience. So.
Excellent.
How about you, Anna?
What would I choose? I think, well, making a difference at work is in my blood. So obviously, you know, in OpenBlend, we use OpenBlend. So I've got all of mine populated. Making a difference at work actually is something that's really important to me. I want to. And I think that goes back actually to what you were saying before, Natasha, about kind of that sense of purpose. And I know we're going to come on to sort of my key learnings on my journey, and that maybe links to it actually. That it's not actually in my work. I think about that. I want to make a difference to the lives of all of our users. I want them to be able to have it all. I want them to be able to look down at their child and think, well, that's okay. I can do that and still achieve all the things that I need to achieve. I just need to work out how I'm going to do that, and just kind of that make people feel empowered. I love that. Oh, look at fun down there. Did no one choose fun? I don't even see that on the bottom. No one chose fun. That's really fun.
Can we scroll down, Josie? Are there a couple underneath?
Oh no, I've scrolled down. Being part of an effective team is on there as well. See, that I'm really surprised with. That's so funny, because that's starting to come in. We've got that. These are our top 10 that we've got in here, and I don't think fun's been in our top 10 before, but that's kind of pulled up. So that's fascinating that not one person chose that. But actually being part of a team, that's
Well, I guess it's complicated, isn't it? It's not as straightforward as it looks.
And it's all different. And actually, I think being part of an effective team, being where I am now, and that's probably comes onto one of my learnings as well. Is that
share those with us, Anna? What your takeaways have been? Because I mean, you must have learned so much from just building this business, and the concept that this business is all about must have really helped you on that journey, start to think and reflect, and help you get where you've got to.
And I think actually maybe sparked off that being part of an effective team. I think it's broader than that, actually. I think one of my biggest learnings on this journey has been not having an ego, like just asking for help. I'm not proud, if I don't know how to do something or I need something, then I will go and ask people to help me do it. I've always really tapped into my network and worked with my network, and that was something I was going to say before about finding these kind of champions in life. like, let's not always think about finding one for us. We should be them for others as well. And I think lots of people have helped me, and I really want to help champion other people as well, help other people pull through. So like, a big learning for me is the how much I've achieved from asking for help and not having an ego, and using my network. But also, and I think, and I don't know whether this is and I'm not saying this is exclusive to women, but I've always been told, and I'm very comfortable with surrounding myself with people that are better than me. And I do that in my team. So I need people that are so much better than me in what they do. I'm not, some people, you might interview someone and think, oh no, I feel threatened by them, or they make me, I have those interviews when I'm interviewing people to bring into the team, and think that's exactly who we need in the company to drive everything forward. So really kind of it's not conscious for me, but I'm conscious that I don't have one, if you know what I mean. That has really helped me progress.
And it's an endearing trait as well, Anna, isn't it? And I'm assuming your team, you tend to build more trust if you can be authentic in that way, and not let your ego challenge you or sit on your shoulder talking to you. I think you become a much nicer person to work with if you.
I think ego breeds horrendous side effects in anyone, like emotion and complications in relationships, and the things that aren't said. It's all kind of dark and gloomy, and I won't hire anyone into OpenBlend that has an ego. And it's actually a key thing that we look for in an interview, is this, like, the kind of, that I don't like that. Which I know is much more challenging in sales organizations, because actually, contrary to everything I've just said, sometimes that does drive a phenomenal sales behavior, not a management behavior, but a sales behavior.
I guess it's how you manage your ego, isn't it? And how you allow your ego to manifest itself, and learning to
use it to your advantage. Maybe we should say that. You have, exactly. So that's a key learning for me. Another thing is my level, I think maybe they're related, is my level of self-awareness, and knowing what I'm good at, not so good at, what I enjoy, what I don't enjoy, what drives me. Like, I'm really fortunate that I'm in a position I'm very aware, because of what I do all the time. My coaching background, I am able to kind of self-challenge and see all of that. And I will always listen to other people's feedback on me and get that kind of feedback on me. But I also then have a coach that I don't use all the time, but if I feel like I'm getting into kind of hot water, or I'm not, I need to understand where I am in this kind of chaos that's going on around, just to pull myself down to kind of my level of self-awareness. That's a massive learning, because and this is what coaching actually does, is just a self-awareness enables you to feel in control. So if you know who you are and what you want to, and what you need to do, you're in control of that, of where you're going, and in control of your decisions, and in control of your next steps. But it has to start with that level of self-awareness. And I would never ever underplay having a coach or a mentor, as long as they focus entirely on you, as opposed to mentor. But just having somebody who can really kind of hold a mirror up to you, and say, right, this is who you are, what you're important, and be authentic to that. I'm often told that a lot as a founder of a business, because I'm a first-time founder CEO, so I've never done it before. I'm learning every single day. And if we make decisions that it really doesn't sit right with me, then that's going to really compromise my position as a founder. So always knowing, being true to yourself, I think it is really important, and a big learning. Another one is around, I guess it's around purpose, but that kind of purpose sounds a bit textbooky. I think, I identified a problem in the way that identified the problem that work-life balance created the wrong mindset for people. And I identified that having a conversation around what needs to go into supporting someone to be empowered and be able to perform well needed to take place in a work environment, and I knew that managers needed support in doing that. So I knew that was a problem, and I knew that problem needed to be solved. So I had this kind of, as you said before, I was really passionate about this kind of mission to connect the dots and get the right kind of conversations taking place in a workplace. But I've never been too rigid on how I solve that problem. And I think that's another important learning, is that there's got to be some fluidity, and you have a vision, but be fluid and flexible on how you're going to get there, because things change, curveballs come in the way, and you can be pushed off track, and all the rest of it. You don't know, you want to solve that problem, but how you go about doing that you need to be open-minded and flexible to how you're going to do that.
And I suppose it's also, isn't it, part of that is also, as you said earlier, asking for help as well, and that reaching out and hearing others' opinions, using your network. So actually all the things you've talked about kind of then come together, don't they?
Yeah, and also, I'm a massive believer in having goals, obviously, but if you're so hell-bent on achieving one thing in one way, then you're just going to miss loads of opportunities to maybe make it better. So I'm trying to think of an example. You need to be, your awareness of what's going on needs to be broad.
Yeah.
So and always kind of and I think people who work in recruitment have that capability in bucket loads, because everyone's an opportunist. You're navigating through to the next deal, or the right person, or what about that, and and I think that's a fantastic. The other learning I've had, actually, that I hadn't thought about before, is that my foundation in recruitment really set me up for success. That the level of commerciality that everybody on this call will have, but some of them won't even be aware of it. If you come out of recruitment and go and work in another industry, my God, you're so commercially astute. You're so quick and can think on your feet and can navigate through. I mean, it's an amazing skill to have. Anyone that I meet that's comes from a recruitment background has possesses that kind of insane ability to get there.
It's interesting, because I was going to ask you that question. I was going to ask you how being in recruitment had helped or set you up, and I think you're spot on, Anna. I think we get a really rounded skill set when you've worked in recruitment, and you're right, commercially, but also I just feel it prepares you in so many ways. A lot of us have to deal with contracts and understanding contracts and how you make agreements and how you make things happen. I mean, that's what we do a lot of the time, isn't it, as well, and how to do that in a way that is commercially focused. So I think you're right. I think recruitment is a fantastic starting point.
But on that as well, people skills, understanding one person. This is obviously frontline recruitment, but understanding what makes, everything we've just spoken about here with a blend. I think it'd be quite interesting to do a blend on candidates, so that you can further understand your candidates and what's important to them. But understanding an individual enough, two individuals enough to be able to connect the dots. It's brilliant, and they're people, and they change, and they're unpredictable, and you have to kind of look out for anything that could anticipate things that could go wrong, and all the rest of it. I think recruitment skills are incredibly transferable and really powerful, and I think a lot of people don't think that. So absolutely, my recruitment background helped me with that. I think and then the last, well, there's loads of learnings. I'm learning every day. I don't, every day I'm picking up new stuff. But another one that I feel has helped me along the way is, one size, like that, but that one size doesn't fit all, that everybody is different. And we have to respect that and take time to appreciate that in everyone that we meet. And I found that, I think maybe having getting older, being married, having kids, everyone is different and they can see things in different ways, and there's no such thing as reality. Our perceptions are reality, and we all have kind of different values and life experiences that we're bringing to the table, and just acknowledging that people aren't necessarily going to think the same way as you do, I think enables you to really get the best out of other people as well.
I think as well on that point, Anna, I think it's also, and I assume a number of us will have felt like this. I certainly did for a while. I struggled with working out where I was different, and realizing that where I was different was what made me, gave me I call it power, but actually stopping worrying about being different and realizing it's a great thing to have different skills or different capabilities to other people, and then that's what can enable you to stand out. It's what can enable you to add value and make a difference. And I think so often we see our difference as a disabler rather than an enabler.
Yes. Yeah. And but that goes back to self-awareness as well, doesn't it? And that level of authenticity, and not trying to be. I was interviewing someone quite recently, and we said, what's the kind of organization that you would like to work for? And she said, an organization where I can be myself. I don't need to hide behind trying to be anything else, that you can just go in there. And I think that's, I felt it was a bit of a shame that she had to say that, really, but I think some organizations don't enable you just to be yourself and be comfortable with that.
True. Well, thank you, Anna. That's all really fascinating, and I have to say well done, because it's a fabulous achievement and you are making a difference, I'm absolutely sure, through the work you're doing. So you've brought something to the table that was well needed, and it's great that you found the drive and the ability to kind of cut through all the mud on the way as well, and just all the family life and managing all of that, as well as building a business. So it's a real inspiration. I'm just going to ask the audience again if there are any questions. A couple here, Anna. I'm not sure I completely understand all of them, so I'm going to try and I don't know if you can see them. Can you see the questions that have come up? So Shankar's asked a couple of questions. And it might be that you might want to take them offline if you feel you want some time to think about them. But and then we've had thank you from Annette. Thank you, Annette. I know you join us quite often, so really nice to
thank you
again.
They're quite recruitment specific, that question. If we could maybe take that offline.
Shankar, Anna would be happy to connect with you on LinkedIn because I think your questions are possibly slightly more around recruitment as a role and a discipline, rather than talking about kind of your drivers and motivators in terms of growing as an individual in the workplace. So if anyone else has got any questions, please pop them through now before we end the session with Anna. And Anna, I think you were saying when we spoke earlier that you'd like to share.
We would love to connect with everybody who's joined today, and what we're going to do is forward you. We create content, an awful lot, some bits around the hybrid workforce and how important that is. Obviously, stuff around blend and balance, and the importance of kind of getting that right. And we'd love to share that with you. So we'll forward that on to each of you, would welcome your thoughts and feedback. But we'd love if anyone is interested in talking about OpenBlend for their organisation, then we would be absolutely delighted to take you through a kind of no strings attached demo, just to kind of show you the tool and how it might work for you. But no, obviously if we show you the tool, there's no pressure at all to I'm not going to pressurize you. Sales funnel. I know how sales commercially astute everyone is.
Yeah, well, exactly. There's no pulling wool over our eyes.
No, there's not. But if you want to have a casual look at the tool, then
and actually, I would say to anyone that is considering how they make this more effective in their workplace, I would recommend you have a look at it, because it's simple, isn't it? And that's the other nice thing about it. It doesn't overcomplicate.
Yeah, to be honest, I think any organization should be aware of what we do, even if it might not be right for your culture, or you're not looking to invest in a performance management tool at the moment or whatever. Just being, again, coming back to that level of awareness, look at what is out in the market, look at what a lot of the very people-centered progressive brands are investing in terms of getting the best out of their people. It's just through intrigue, have a look at it and see what's going on, because the world has definitely changed over the last 18 months. We need to adapt.
Okay, well, I don't think anything else has come in, Anna, so please do connect with Anna on LinkedIn.
Yes, please.
If you'd like to. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back again next month, I think it is. Can't believe it's nearly June already. So thank you, everybody. Anna, you're a true inspiration. So really nice words coming through. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you all very soon.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much for having me. Love to see you. Bye.
Thank you, Anna. Bye-bye. Slowly dropping off. Is that it? One more.
There you go. Everyone's gone.
Fabulous. Thank you. That was brilliant. You remember you said to me the other day, oh, I don't know how long I can talk for. Don't think we had any problems there.
Okay, I'm going to leave you to it, but can I just say, Anna, that Shankar's obsessed by you. Good luck with that one. Oh my God. Well done, Natasha. You handled that really well, mate. That's good.
Oh, where did you think she was from?
I've no idea.
Remember?
Actually, just let me have a look. So I think I've got the list somewhere.
Because it's only members that can join.
It was all a bit scary, wasn't it?
Yeah.
She said she's in India.
I don't know. Oh no, he must have somehow managed to register, because he's from Mukti Consulting, and that's not a member.
No, which consulting?
So I don't think I'll send him. I don't think I'll include him on any communication, and I won't include him on the list that comes to you, so he receives nothing from you. So really the only option he will have is to connect with you through LinkedIn, and you can just ignore it then.
I assumed it was a woman as well, but
I thought it was a woman.
Oh, is it a woman? I've got no idea.
I don't know. This is women in
I'm not being sexist. I've got no idea.
Oh dear. Oh well, interesting.
Anyway, I'll leave it to you to finish off. I just had to come on because of that. So it's just making me laugh out loud, really. So
thank you.
Made my day.
Take care. See you soon. Thanks, Anna.
Yeah,
that was really good. Did that go for you? Okay, Anna?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, was it everything that you wanted?
Yeah, definitely. No, that was great. That was really, really great. And it's just inspiring. I mean, to just start with an idea and get it to where you've got it. I find it inspiring, because I've never done that. And I just think, it's just, and I think it's just lovely to hear the story and the enthusiasm. And if people come off with then that positive energy, that you can have an idea, you can be who you want to be, you can enjoy what you do, you can make a difference. That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I do. It's really lovely to have that time like this to talk about it, because no, it's a constant grind. I nearly said it when you said trudging through the mud. I'm not out of the mud, and we've got a long way to go, and it's going well, but it's really hard. And sometimes just taking a moment and having a conversation like that, you're like, Oh, actually.
Yeah, I'm doing all right,
Yeah,
and I've done pretty well, exactly.
Yeah.
No, and I was going to say to you, I know we spoke ages ago, but I'd love to, could you send me info, just because now everything's building back up again with my client base, and this is the sort of conversation people are starting to have. And
we spoke about you being a referral partner, didn't we?
we did, and I mean, you know, one way or another, I just want to make sure my clients kind of get access to the best support out there.
We're starting to look at a lot more at partnerships now.
Okay.
What's your business? What are you doing now? What's your kind of focus?
Well, I mean, I've got effectively 4 board, 2 are official NEDs where I'm directors, and 2 are sort of board advisory roles, but they're, you know, full on every month, regular.
All in recruitment, are they?
No, 3 are recruitment, and 1 is a new tech business. I mean, they're 5 years old, but technology based.
Yeah.
And then I have a handful of other clients. I'm just starting a piece of work with an architect practice, actually, which is a 200-man architect practice who are really looking to evolve their culture, and they've come together through acquisition. And
amazing. So perfect.
Yeah, I know. And then a handful of other recruitment businesses that kind of I go in and out of as they have stuff, you know, want me to support on. So I talk to a lot of people a lot of the time, but my clients now, it's all starting to be around the people agenda again. So I just feel there could be an opportunity.
Well, what should we do then? Should we arrange a time? I'll tell you what I can do as a first port of call is arrange a time with our Chief Revenue Officer.
Is that the chap I met with you at the conference?
Trevor.
Yeah.
But what I might do, yes, him, and then, but there's Tash as well. So are all of your clients a bit smaller? How big are they? Are they all kind of all under 500 people?
The recruitment businesses are between, I think the biggest now is about 160, 170.
Okay, so they're smaller. But actually, what I might do, rather than Trevor, is I'll put you in touch with Tash. And Tash looks after all of our businesses under 500.
Yeah, we would fall into that space, yeah.
Okay, and then she can, and we'll get her to show you a demo now of all the functions. So all about everything that we have, and because we can turn, like, we've got evaluate, which is like an appraisal system, we've got feedback, we've got high fives, we've got different things in the tool.
Okay.
We can show you everything, because what we're doing, even with our own clients that we're working with, we're going in and saying, right, everyone's coming back now post-pandemic, what do you need? And then I go, high fives would be awesome now. And then
that in the moment recognition thing. Yeah.
So if I arrange a time between Tash and you,
perfect,
to do that, and then I will get, and then Trevor will to probably do the referral agreement. So basically, what you'll get, and obviously, you know, it's we give, I think, 5%. It's a nice income for if you're recommending. All you need to do is go, right, talk to these guys.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you don't need to do anything, and then we'll do the whole lot, and then you get 5% of the invoice value.
Thank you. I mean, that's nice. That's a nice bonus. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I think how much roughly then, if you had a business of 100 people and you wanted everyone to use the tool, just give me just a rough idea. Just,
I think for 100, it's about £10 per user per month. So maybe 10 grand. Yeah.
Over a year. Is that
over a year? Yeah.
£10,000 a year, and then you renew on a yearly cycle.
Yeah. So and then we would give a discount for a 2-year contract. Right. So most people do 2-year contracts. So yeah, it roughly 10 grand a year.
And sorry, I'll save the questions for Tash. Yeah. Okay.
Tash will be able to take you through. And to be honest, what Tash will be able to do is give you kind of what the best case is and what we can go down to, because you're going to be talking to them about, you know, you might say to someone, right, someone might say, look, we've got 8 grand. And you might say, look, if we do a 2-year contract, we can do this. Whereas someone else, so you'll give you like the flexibility. So I'll get her to go through all the costs.
Yeah, and she can talk to me about the connectivity with other platforms and how it might fit in.
Integrations, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, 100%. That architect firm sounds interesting, very interesting. If they're looking at kind of people and culture and.
So I've just started working with another business who I'm now a sort of partner with them too, who have created a culture decoder, where it's a word wall that help you, basically it looks at your values and how your values align with the business values and the lived values, and it's all about your experiences. And so I've got them doing the culture survey with this business, and then out of that we need to get the people plan implemented.
Oh, right, great. Is that the tech business you're working with that does that?
No, it's not actually. This is another organisation. Through my network, I got to know one of the founders, and through my D&I work, got talking to him, and I just really loved because I was doing interviews with people to get to know culture within organisations, and you can never get, you can't interview 200 people. You could, it would take bloody ages, and it'd be really tedious. But and this allows you to scale it, and it puts a report out, and then it segments by your identity and your, all the different slices and dices of your demographics, so that you can see how valuable.
I love that. What's the tool called?
It's called Brands with Values is the organisation. And I just love what it does. So I'm just thinking, again, what you do kind of follows on from, once you've identified possibly in your culture that you've got this issue around people not feeling valued as individuals and blah blah blah, that this is a nice solution you could then so I'm just joining these things up. So
you've got some amazing stuff going on. Really
interesting. It's interesting, and I'm just rolling with it, a bit like you, and just enjoying it. And like on that wall, your segments, I mean, I'm lucky now that money doesn't have to be my main driver, and therefore it is about enjoying what you do, and money is important, but it doesn't become the thing it's nice to pick and choose what you do and do what you enjoy. But if you once I've spoken to Tash, if you think that an intro to these guys would be helpful, or we'll work it out, we can always connect you.
You have a look at the demo, have a look at the prices. We would definitely like to be introduced to these guys, so I'd take that as a given, but maybe before
I'll do it after.
You have a look at the tool, the costs, and everything, and you're comfortable, and we get the referral agreement signed. So if we do all of that next week, and then you can introduce us to those guys. That'd be amazing.
No, that'd be really great. Thank you. That's wonderful. And honestly, well done to you, because I mean, it's no small feat to build a business from scratch, and particularly in a space where you're having to deal with changing mindset and everything. So
thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for today. It was great. I really
thank you for giving us your time. Have a lovely weekend anyway.
Thank you, and I'll get to give you a shout either this afternoon or tomorrow.
She dropped me an email. It's perfect. Thanks, Anna. Bye.